Hello and welcome to yet another episode of the Youth Roundtable on Civic Space TV. I am Phillip Muliisa. Today we take the conversation to the national resistance movement, since this is the party that Ugandans gave a mandate in 2021 to take lead in managing the affairs of this state for the next 5 years until 2026. We are looking at the status of implementation of the NRM Manifesto between 2021 and 2026. And joining me in that conversation is a panel of distinguished young people of this country, Uganda, whom I'll give a minute to introduce themselves, talk to us about what they are, and we shall get into the depth of the conversation later. I'll start with the gentleman on my extreme left. Ivan, please talk to the viewer. You're most welcome.
Thank you very much, my brother Philip. My name is Masawi Ivan. I'm not new to the show. I'm from the Forum for Democratic Change Youth League, where I sit as a youth leader from Bali City. I bring you greetings and appreciations to Center for Constitutional Governance and Civic Space TV for always reaching us and hosting us here. We are really grateful. I'm really happy meeting new colleagues on the panel today. We are here to learn a lot, especially from my brother I've had an interaction with from the north. I will go back more northernized. Thank you.
Thank you. You are most welcome, Masawi. Bale City. How are you people from Bale City? Next to Masawi is a lady. Are you a lawyer?
Lawyer in making.
Talk to us.
My name is Twisere Gloria. I'm a law student at Ceasor University. Currently, I'm working as the Deputy Prime Minister. I've been working at the Parliament of the Republic of Uganda, doing my internship from there. In August, I'll be joining my 4th year. I'm glad to be part of this. I support NRM. Thank you so much.
Twisere Gloria from the
Ceasor.
NRM Civic district. You are most welcome to the show, and the people at the OPM, the people at the Parliament of Uganda, we appreciate the work you do, and we look forward for better from those officers. Last but not least, gentlemen.
Thank you so much, Civic TV, for the host. I'm Richard Onenchan. Appeal is my name. I'm a newly elected guild president for Isafan Institute for Management Science. I come from Bulu City. As well, I subscribe to the NRM, the mighty party that is keeping this country more peaceful even tomorrow. Thank you.
You are most welcome, Richard Onenchan from the mighty party from Gulu and guild president. We're happy to have you, and special greetings to the people at the East African Management Institute. We really love you, and we hope to have more engagements with your leadership, but also student levels. And of course, mentioning
We need to congratulate him. I was a guild leader, so I congratulate him, my brother.
Yeah, big congratulations, and we thank the people at that particular institute for trusting him. We think he's one that will lead you into the right direction, and we can't wait to see what you have to deliver at that particular institute. In a special way, I want to welcome back the community of the MCI from that alumni convention, the sporting activities, the learning, the camping, the conversations. A very warm welcome, and we really look forward to having more and more engagements in that particular area and growing. When I come back to you, gentlemen and lady, the NRM Manifesto, you know, it is very interesting. You have something called an election. People go out there, cast their vote. They are trusting you people to go out and deliver to them. We have a president, and I think you being a president who has recently won an election, but also a very proud member of what you call the mighty party, the NRM, you will do us justice starting this off, talking to us. When you look at the NRM, first of all, the 2021 general election, what feelings did you have as a member of the NRM when you saw how the election was conducted, the percentage you got, the results, the way the results were announced to the country? You had very many voices saying, oh, the National Tally Center is under siege. Some people are saying the chairperson of the AC is announcing things we do not know where he's getting them from. At some point, we were saying you have more military people at the Tally Center than citizens and election observers. What was your general feel about the election 2021?
Yeah, thank you so much, the host. To me, looking at the general election 2021, to me, during the election time, I can really testify that it was peaceful to me, and also there are certain regions where we do believe NRM were not gaining support. The NRM got a lot of support. I can confirm to you that my region as Northern Uganda, for more than decades of time, we have not been supporting the NRM. And looking at the results, East brought to the NRM, looking at the results, Northern Uganda brought to the NRM, and Western Uganda, it really tells you that people are really embracing the NRM, and they really voted for the NRM, though there are certain regions where computation, of course, was stiff. Like I can confirm to you that certain regions like Central Uganda, where there's a certain wave come in and the number of the votes NRM got was actually not to the maximum to certain regions I've made mention earlier on. But that tells you that as the party, we still have a lot of work to do to get those supports where we failed to secure at the other time. And we are doing it perfectly well right now as I talk, as we are proceeding for the next election that are coming. But looking at that election time, I'm going to very much in giving my submission during the post-election time. I like it when election ended, the result was declared, I think peacefully, because after the declaration of the result, there was a lot of talks within the country that the election was not free and fair, but also looking at the way the campaign was conducted, I think COVID is to be blamed. Not the people who participated, because COVID pushed all these candidates to the wall. Even they were given opportunity to transverse around the country and campaign, but not to the expectation. Even someone who won the election in the NRM, that's the president. You do not even see him like he was moving like frequently, but other candidates you saw them because he was protecting himself from the COVID. But looking at the SOP that have been put in place on the COVID, many of the candidates were violating, certain camps were violating this. Now when they violated this SOP standard that have been put, we have seen now the military and the people who are to implement this SOP come in and dealing with the people who might have actually broken up this SOP standard. And to some extent, that's where the security have been blamed that the security are coming in to frustrate people. But to me, it was not necessary the security are coming to frustrate any candidate, but they were coming to implement the SOP standard for COVID-19. That's why that involvement was actually fed to certain candidates that might be.
Thank you, Richard. Strongly believes the 2021 general elections were peaceful, they were okay, they were transparent, and the only negative things that came out are things that came as a result of disobedience by some actors in the political activity. Thank you for that submission. When I come to you, Gloria, what is more important from an election cycle to the Ugandans and by extension to the Africans out there is not the person that has won, but the manifesto of that person, because in the end, what Ugandans want is services. What Ugandans want is going to school, is medical care, is infrastructure. Take us to the manifesto of the National Resistance Movement 2021. What are some of those highlights you think this is what the NRM said and Ugandans felt, yeah, this is what they exactly need, and they were able to vote the NRM? What are some of those key highlights of that manifesto?
Thank you so much for the opportunity granted. Of course, me as someone who grew up from Solo, many people would be complaining. I'm bordering both Rwanda and Congo. I always see people, they are fighting, they are always refugees. I'm nearby the refugee camp. People be moving, they have no peace. Like when our parents tell us the story about how they used to live by then, there was no peace at all. But when His Excellency the President, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, came in, people got peace. So once someone has peace, at the moment, everything seemed to be moving on perfectly. So when he was giving his manifesto in 2021, of course he gave what he would do for the people. First of all, they already got peace. Once you have peace of mind. You can even do all your things politely, efficiently, and they move on smoothly, regardless of what. You may even be having what to do, but because there is no peace, of course, you don't move on very well. Because when the president gave in that peace, he provided people peace. He ensured that the borders are secured. People got that peace, and they had enough space to conduct the activities peacefully. Even when you can't be like, I've put this and this so long as people have peace. For example, in my people from Ceasor, they support NRM so much. Because when they see those wars from Rwanda, from Congo, people are moving, even they are leaving their land, they could be farming, they could be doing pastoralists, but they have nowhere to do it from. First of all, peace convinced people to vote for NRM. When he was giving his manifesto in 2021, he was like, there was a point where he said economic growth. The fact is, me, I'm a 2000 born, but so far so good. So far what I've seen, I can't vote for NUP or I vote for FDC because the man is so convincing. If I've been able to achieve the education, now I'm at a higher level, I'm accessing the parliament because the country is peaceful. I can credit him for that.
Thank you so much. Peace, she tells us, peace is one of those key areas that convinced herself and by extension Ugandans to give NRM the mandate and President Museveni in particular to take on the mantle to lead this country for the next 5 years since 2021, and I hope the NRM is scoring, but we'll look at the detail of that a little later. Masawi Ivan, when you listen to the background given by the two speakers here, one of them talking to us about the election cycle, how it was, 2021, the campaigns and the tabulation, the announcement of results, how peaceful it was. Then you talk about the manifesto. She does highlight things like education. She does talk about peace and security, securing of our borders. She does talk about economic growth, and her being a Gen Z, you hear how she talks about economic growth and how she sees the country is progressing economically. I want to come to you to talk to us. Generally, when you look at this, I know you've interacted with the NRM manifesto. Was it the best manifesto to convince Ugandans to vote for the NRM? What is it that they put that you at the FDC did not put?
Thank you very much, my brother. This very week, if I'm not mistaken, Monday, President Museveni was addressing leaders in Kenya in front of the chairman of the World Bank Group about the economics of Uganda. And he said the Ugandans are fools. If you could go and watch that video, that they are fools even whom they don't work, but they can go and eat at the brother's place, the sister's place. He has been struggling with fools for the last over 30 years. These are not my words. You check the internet, see what he spoke in Kenya.
Maybe if you allow me for context to that particular video.
Yeah, it is on X. I'm going to share you.
I think I've interacted with that particular speaker, and just for context, he does say that Uganda is such a gifted and rich country in that even when you were full, you can survive, but not necessarily that all Ugandans are fools. Maybe let's create context for that.
Fools can survive. And he's the leader of the fools that survive. We want to believe we are surviving, right? You've asked me a question on the take of the NRM manifesto. Its theme was securing the future of Ugandans. It had a 10 policy program which started with eradicating subsistence performance, it had value addition, it had issues of unemployment, funding of youth, it had increase of industrialization, increase in labor development. Peace and security never misses because that is the norm. And when I looked at the team that led formulation of the manifesto led by Professor Kamuntu, whom I know very well, on paper, you know, NRM has a tradition. What they presented in 2011 is the similar presentation they present in 2021, 2020, 2016. I happen to have voted in 2016. And I think the statement makes if fools can survive in economics, even in the politics of Ugandans, fools are surviving. There are people who are not worth being even in parliament, but they are surviving because of how they maneuver. The Colonel Muammar Gaddafi in his book, The Green Book, shows you the relevance of such political systems, especially when it comes to issues of implementation. A political system where the president is now supposed to account more than even other organs of government, because that he has a responsibility of the executive arm. But in this country, we even never talk of accountability in terms of arms. We have reduced accountability in terms of a one party because all the powers were taken that appointment authorities have all been grasped to one organ of power. Coming back to your question, I would not love to really debate or have input on the manifesto performance of the NRM, like maybe a youth chairman or a member of FDC Youth League. Because even
yes, I get a lot of interest in specifically you pointing out, when you looked at this manifesto, you did mention some of the detail. The peace, the education, industrialization, socioeconomic transformation, patriotism, Pan-Africanism, and so on. When you look at these elements and you look at the FDC manifesto,
is where I was heading.
Yes. What are some of the things you think the NRM included in their manifesto and you think you missed them in the FDC manifesto?
Honestly, I feel they missed a lot that the FDC manifesto had that they never had. That is what I can tell you. They looked ramshackled in terms of policy. I feel bad that they get a professor to lead a very big team. It included now the permanent secretary, Ramadan Ngobi, was the secretary. I want you to come in honesty with their own performance report in March last month of the progress assessment of their own manifesto is 17%. On a weighing scale of the National Development Plan, let's not come to talk NRM. It is their own assessment by Babalanda and her group, right? We're basing on Vision 2040 and National Development Plan. Why do you always make your own things which you can't achieve? It is always a waste of time.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. He thinks the FDC actually had a lot more important
Maybe you
things
could
to
go
do.
into specifics that give us what was FDC's policy on this, and I'll give you.
We get to that later. I want to
comparison.
come back to you, Richard.
The cost that they spent on a manifesto and what they offered. I think apart from the film securing the future, killing a few Ugandans and arresting people with drones and causing fear and intimidation, closing Facebook, minimizing democratic spaces, there is no serious accountability the manifesto. Now today when you hear Kololo, they are advertising 100 jobs and 7,000 students turn up. Yet in your manifesto you had a scheme to increase industrialization, to increase support to youth-based organizations into productivity, to the parish development model. Where has it gone? A lot of $1 trillion shillings has been budgeted.
We're going
How
to
has
have
it been
a detailed
disbursed?
conversation about all those details a little later. I want to come back to you, Onenchan. When we look at the manifesto and the 12 really done us well, telling us some of the highlights of the NRM manifesto, and they talk about things such as when you look at the 4 key pillars of the NRM, which is patriotism, Pan-Africanism, socio-economic transformation, and democracy. We started from democracy by me asking you to account for how the election went and how you could rate it as an individual, and you said it was a very good one, a peaceful one. But now let's come to the importance of that election, putting the manifesto into force, into action. When you promise peace, when you promise education, when you look at this manifesto generally, do you think you as the NRM are scoring in terms of implementing what you promised Ugandans in 2021?
Thank you. You see, I like it when I sit with opposition in a panel and they bring discussion with a lot of energy.
No, it's facts.
Not focusing onto the reality. But I want to drill my speech majorly on socio-economic transformation because it cut across democracy and whatsoever. I can tell you, Uganda and the NRM has a government. On a daily basis, they are trying very hard to achieve the manifesto they have set in space. And that's what they are doing on a daily basis. And I can tell you that I can bring to you the aspect of roads. If you move around within this country, you will see the government are trying really very hard. We have good roads, and with these good roads that we are having, even the trade on road are increasing. I can tell you, northern Uganda, where I come from, we have not been participating in trading at the capital city. But I can assure you right now, we have Kampala, Gulu, Kibgum, Sudan Road, very smooth, whereby even the traders from South Sudan, they're in Gulu, from Gulu, they're in Kampala. And this clearly tells you that the trading that we are having, it is a little bit okay, and people are earning money. Lives are changing in the community. You see, the most disadvantaged part is that we have young people like him who have gone to school, but they have studied courses and they don't want to go and look for jobs.
At what age did you begin working? Because I'm working, I'm an engineer.
Okay,
for you, when did you begin working?
You see, there's going to
we all have no jobs, especially you in NRM, the majority. You're unemployed. I feel pity for you.
The jobs I'm meaning is not, you should go and...
7,000 in Kololo are struggling for 100 jobs.
My point is very clear. You get, jobs doesn't mean you should go and sit in an office or get white-collar job. The government, I can tell you, in northern Uganda, where I come from, I have population above like something like 5,000 youth who have benefited from the PDM money. And in a small way, they come with that poultry, you get the point. And they're earning, they're even better than graduates.
Yeah,
that's what I mean. We see young girls who have invested this money, they have bought tailoring machines, they opened their shop, they're making tailoring. You get the point. And they're making money. Secondly, the government are also coming with the schemes. Right now, you have been seeing, even in Kampala here, the office of the national chairman have even been moving around distributing tailoring machines to girls, to child mothers. That's the initiative the government are trying to bring, at least to support people so that they be able to put food on their table, so that lives change. Not necessarily that people who have gone to the university, you have done maybe education, you don't want to go and look. You, in your small way, in your own way. Not like the other time, I was telling you I'm from northern Uganda. You get my point. During those days, you don't have time to sit in your family, to even put your tailoring shop because of the war. But right now, I tell you, right now, me, as Richard, I've opened my rabbit farm. I have rabbit that I do rear. I have goats that I do rear because of the peace that we see. This tells me I'm bringing a second manifesto of peace that have been the government are trying, because in northern Uganda we heard about the cattle rustling by the Karamojong. But the UPDF, the disciplined UPDF went there and they decided to support the community there. Right now there's no cattle rustling taking place there. People are even peacefully going to their garden. People are actually carry out that agriculture work.
Thank you. Thank you. I think we shall engage a little more on that one. I think you raised very important points that are working out in northern Uganda. I want to listen from how is from Ceasor, that's southwestern Uganda, and gladly a member of the NRM. Onenchan, northern Uganda, they have at least the Kampala Gulu Juba
They have projects.
highway. It is.
The man is rich.
It's a plus in.
And maybe to add to you, we have, you know, Kampala city is really contributing highest to the GDP, but we have a district in northern Uganda, Noya district, is contributing number 2 for the development of this country, because you go to Noya and you see farms, you wonder.
Thank you.
People are embracing agriculture. Government are giving tractors
Thank
to the
you.
community.
Thank you. Gloria, take us to Ceasor and by extension southwestern Uganda. How is the NRM performing in terms of delivering the services it promised to Ugandans in 2021?
The fact is, before I go any further, I would like to tell my brother, whenever a story is not yours, you always seem to be wiser.
Okay, I'll come to your story.
Yeah. You may seem like, you see, government has done nothing, but it has really done. If you've been there and your parents have ever told you about the story, how things used to be by then, even when they could be having that customer for, they couldn't access it because of the instabilities.
In your region is not like our region. Mbale was the richest region and Obote. We are now poor. Don't bring us comparisons of your Ceasor. Eh?
No.
Some of us we lost. Lamu was the richest region. Cooperatives have died. So when you're always giving case scenarios, don't think others were as poor as Ceasor.
And it's always corruption because it's not.
Ceasor was not anywhere in those days. Don't always want everybody to be at Ceasor's level when you want to bring a comparison.
Please make a point.
Yeah, I'm like, for us, Ceasor, we've always appreciated NRM. First
That
of
is
all,
the
when I was born, I didn't find our roads were so bad. But at least they tried to construct for us nice roads. Me from Ceasor, I come straight to Kampala. I don't get a lot of barriers on the way. Schools are built, hospitals have been improved, and we are assessing education in Ceasor and far away from Ceasor. People appreciate NRM than any other party.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I want to come to you, Masawi. Before we go to the things that have failed, I want us to use this first.
No, there are positives. I think is why
When
he
you
gives you the positives. But the scale indicators is why I gave you their own report. Yeah? It is on the office of the
I want
president.
you to take me to a position of, as a member of the FDC, and you say there are positives. When you look at their performance the last 2.5 years, why do you say that at least here this NRM has scored? We do not agree, but at least they've done 1, 2, and 3.
I want to use their own
concept?
report that was produced by them, by Professor Kamuntu and Mary Babalanda last month. It was on the 15th of March. Yeah? Their own report, you can access it. They still said their percentage on PDM had gone, not to their expectation, but they had met a certain percentage. So I credit them that, because it means maybe their model. I'm a student, being at a master level student of project planning. There are successes you need to always accept, given on the idea, intention of the vision bearer on what to implement. Certain things have grown, maybe in terms of what they ought to have seen in terms of security. I don't want to know that the Kasese kids were killed in this last 2.5 years. The security issues, maybe to them, they felt have been well handled, given they have managed to compromise with the ADF lately, especially with the withdrawal forces from the DRC. But what I wanted to come into is that as whenever we come to such conscience discussions, you don't need to be NRM to speak facts, right? I work with more people in NRM maybe than in FDC in day to day, but depending on what do we ought to have as a country is more key. Is why I can be honest that if he has success stories, such things need to be pushed to other regions. Equal Opportunities Report ranked my region as the poorest. Should I go and refuse to accept his witness? The equal opportunities report is all over the place. Should I disregard what Novan is doing, that Eastern Uganda, that even now doesn't vote Museveni, doesn't? He comes from a region that voted Museveni. He has his reasons to defend him. I come from a region even where he rigged but still performed poorly. Right? So we can't be equal. Is why he gave you a very clear preamble that in Central here, they performed poorly and he said they are improving. I was by that time of the election renting in Kyambogo State, just in front of Ajatina Mialo's NRM office, is where I was renting. And I know how hostage we were held for a whole time. EC started the plans for voting. I had just finished my studies at Kyambogo University. To the time the voting ended, how we were held hostage because of a single election, with people being arrested, everything taking place. So positives are there. Even in their own report, they will tell you how much money has been dispersed, but on what performance indicators, scales, right? Is why when President Museveni makes such key issues to the World Bank, he's not stupid. He also knows where he's doing poorly. You saw his recommendations, right? Are those recommendations of someone who thinks he's doing well?
Thank you.
But if a president is honest to himself, but you find a party card, just a card holder, who wants to assume we have arrived, I think certain people lack a growing spirit. When you're young and you lack a growing spirit, you don't stretch much. That is it.
Yes, thank you so much, Ivan, for that submission. And you raised something so important about performance indicators, and I want to put it to Onenchan here. You did talk to us about the NRM has constructed roads, the NRM has, facilitated the setting up of farms in Nwaya, and a couple of other things, the peace, the education, and so on. When we look at that road, we are talking about a national resistance movement government that has been in power for the last 38 years.
The question was in Manifesto 21-2026.
Yes. But, it's important he raises, but it's a build-up. You have a build-up, a consistent system for 38 years. If we have a road in northern Uganda, and we have a road, say, in Ciasor, like she says, but we don't have a road in his place, like in Bududa, or in any other part of the country.
All Kampala roads look the way they look.
Is the NRM moving at the right pace it is supposed to be moving in terms of providing these services to Ugandans?
Yeah, thank you so much for your point. There's one thing we need to know. The NRM as a government is not favoring any region. If according to the question you're asking, I can tell you northern Uganda for many years has not been supporting the government, has not been supporting the NRM. You get my point? I can tell you for the last years, the NRM in Bulu, the leadership of the NRM in Bulu, I think you are saying only 2 members of parliament. That is a woman on parliament for Bulu district and a member of parliament for Bulu district.
What is the trick that changed things for Gulu and by extension?
No, I think because the city was created in Gulu, but the Gulu is a city as I talk. The Gulu is a city and I come from the city. So the district produced these two. I will tell you, the western part of Gulu city is Badegla Yivi, as a member of parliament who came on independent.
My friend.
From FDC to independent. The other one came straight on independent. And the woman member of parliament for city is the FDC lady. You get my point. Now this tells you the region has not been supported. And previously we have
there is a history and UPC also DP.
So it tells you clearly that we have been missing a lot. You get the point. We have been missing a lot. This thing, it is all about I think cooperation works here now. You get the point. Because you cannot tell me you don't want the government and you expect the government to perform. Because in one way or the other, like is district, it is region. They have been rebellious to the state they send government program, people call names. They send projects, people call names on the government. These are NRM courts, these are NRM roads, or these are NRM projects. And yet the NRM are extending this to the community, to the voters. How do you expect the region to embrace it when the leader and the leadership tends to incite people in the community? We have been in ADC for many years. If the NRM government are bringing this, people will not embrace it. That's why in other regions, you see people, they send PDM money, people steal the money. They don't implement
you see, Richard, you raise an important point. The rebelliousness or the defiance of some leaders in particular regions. But
the roles and responsibilities.
When I go back to 2021, after the election, in his acceptance speech, and by extension all the appointments that were made, the prime ministers and the vice president and so on, one of the things they say and they keep saying is after the election, if you are a leader, if you are the president elected, you become a president of the Republic of Uganda.
Exactly.
And you don't have to look out for who is saying, no, you are a bad person, no, we don't like your party. You just have to deliver services to the citizenry. What happened to that?
Yeah, actually, the president as head of the state is really embracing everybody in his government project and all the programs he's bringing. The programs are brought for everybody. But you see, the problem with some few Ugandans who subscribe to the opposition, they even tend to carry their aid of opposition even after the election. Even post-election, people still think we need to rebel the state. We need not to support the government. Even if they bring things. Right now, I can tell you, Tesu, I think the vice president has launched the other time the Youth Innovation Hub, a big one. I don't know if you are aware, where the young people are given the opportunity as a youth co-working space. You come and do your thing, your entrepreneurship skill grow. And that one is not even in northern Uganda. But tell me, if the youth has been intoxicated that the state is bad, the state is doing this, tell me which youth will go and sit there in that hub. So the only problem is that I think as a state, the NRM government, they are trying to incorporate everybody. But because of the bad leadership or people who subscribe to the opposition, they are making people not to work collaboratively with the state. And yet the government and the state are embracing and welcoming everybody.
Thank you. I want to involve you in these very few minutes as we get into the break. You know, he mentioned something so good, cooperation with the government. You say Ceasor is a place that embraces the NRM, appreciates the NRM. When you look at its performance, and I want to give you a background of, for example, normally we are told, courtesy of history and writings of very many people, that the economy of Uganda by 1962, 65, 1970 was such strong and competitive in the world that you had a shilling that was worth only $4, that you had an economy that was competing with Singapore, that was competing with Indonesia, with Malaysia, and so many other powerful economies today. What is my question to you? Is the NRM working on the right pace? Is it getting its priorities right, such that we cannot now compete with Indonesia? We say now it is first world, we are still third world, yet we are at the same level. What is not happening? What is not working out well in the NRM that is keeping us stagnated?
Just as my brother, thank you for this opportunity. Just as my brother said, in addition to his submissions, it all begins with you. Charity begins at home. If you're in certain village or area, your MP is against the reading position, is against NRM, or you're read by someone or from NOP or FDC, of course they won't embrace the opportunities that they have been given. The thing of money, to me, I think maybe it is because of the high population and the greed of power people have. Money has lost its sense, its meaning, because people have that greed. They want to get more and more. But by then, to me, I think the little they could be having, maybe they could be satisfied with it. But if they're even FDC members and they're given that, the social services by NRM, they even also feel shy to be like, let me tell people it's from NRM. They even do it. They have it for their personal development. They want to expose it because I can't be here defaming your name and after be like, it's this friend of mine who has given me something to give it to you, yet I've been defaming you. Of course, you want to accept what I've given you. You'll be like, they're bewitching me, or in the other way around.
Maybe to add on, if you could permit me. You see, you know, the president has been singing all the time, we don't have opposition in this state. And me too, I believe, because, you see, the worst thing this opposition are doing, they come on daytime, that we don't support the government. They themselves, we don't support the government. But in one way or the other, you see them in the night. You get, in the night, they look yellow in the night, but in the day,
They
they're
put
on their
on
blue.
blue.
In the daytime, they're on
The
their
red.
red. That's why you see them not presenting the interests of the electorates they represent.
Who makes them yellow in the night?
No, it
The
is-
greed
it is-
for
it is
power and
because-
for the
it is
for the
because,
money.
One, it is because more of this opposition, they put in politics of interest in the community. They incite people in the community, the government is bad, the government is not good, and they give them the mandate. After giving them the mandate, of course, you as a member of parliament, you want to bring a policy that will benefit maybe secondary school in northern Uganda. You get the point. And in the floor of parliament, you have the biggest number of the NRM MPs. One, you need to get support. The reason why many of these MPs who are opposition, they don't deliver. Apart from getting this super custom and turning them into ambulance, that's what they always do. But tangible delivery from the government to the people. Because as an MP, you need to represent the interests of young people in the floor of parliament. You help them to come up with certain policies, to actually look into how effective is the government program. That has been extended into your district. It's been implemented.
Thank you. Now, please allow her complete her point.
Yeah, in simple terms, they can't deliver what the people are against. If they were told their people NRM is bad, NRM has provided some opportunity and services to them, they would just have it for their personal development, for their personal gains. They won't give it to the public because they had already tarnished the NRM. They have a lot to show the public that, of course, NRM has done nothing at all. They won't allow they want to draw
In
a
other
clear
words,
picture.
you try to say that
They
even
are
when
leaders.
something good comes to the community, this opposition member of parliament or chairperson LOC5 will make sure it is not implemented.
Yeah.
They
Such that-
frustrate.
Yeah,
frustrate
of course they want to
government
show their people it's not providing anything. That they will use it for their personal gains.
I've
Thank you.
never seen a member of parliament who is in ADC implementing the PDM and even the LC5. You ask
And they have
anyone who is a
them,
noob in
and
any
everyone
district
got that chance to access
gather people in
PDM.
community and tell them, please, embrace this PDM money.
But
You know that I've even heard one mobilizing people, you just eat the money, this is your taxes. Can you imagine?
thank you.
They will
ladies
never
and
accept the
gentlemen.
achievements of
Thank you so much for
NRM.
those amazing submissions. The Youth Roundtable goes into a very short break and we shall be right back.
Digital rights are those human rights and legal rights that allow individuals to access, use, create and publish digital media or to access and use computers, other electronic devices and telecommunication networks. Digital rights include a right to freedom of expression, information and communication through technology, a right to privacy and data protection, a right to credit for personal works, a right to universal and equal digital access, a right to identity, a right to anonymity, a right to be forgotten, and a right for protection of minors, among others. The state's digital rights are frequently violated through various unfair actions, for example, blockage of websites and social networks, theft of credentials, unauthorized use of people's data for personal gain, privacy intrusion, online censorship, arrests and intimidation of online users, internet blockages, and the proliferation of laws and regulations that undermine the potential of technology to drive social, economic, and political development worldwide. It is hence every citizen's responsibility to respect rights of other digital users and to speak out or report to the responsible parties when one's rights are violated.
Welcome back from that very short break. It is the Youth Roundtable on Civic Space TV and I am Phillip, Muliisa. Remember, this is made possible by the Center for Constitutional Governance and we appreciate the work you do out there. On the show, I have three very interesting, passionate, and intelligent young people of this country. Masawi Ivan from the FDC and Eastern Uganda, Mbale City. I have Gloria from NRM and Ceasor district, and I have Richard from Gulu and also from the NRM part. And we're discussing the status of implementing the NRM 2021-2026 Manifesto. While we left off, we had conversations around the good things, the positives, the things that are working out. In this second segment, ladies and gentlemen, I know a colleague who normally says the world has changed because the future is female, so now it is gentlemen and ladies, but nonetheless, we shall take either. This manifesto that is so good, you talked about it. I want to start with you, Masawi, in this second segment. A lot of goodies have been talked about, but what are those alarming, sounding, very popular things that you think have failed, that the NRM has not worked out, that the NRM has not worked on since 2021?
Warren Bennis, in one of his books on leadership, he does give why leadership is the right thing and why management is doing things right. Whenever you're expected to be a leader, especially when you come to such spaces, whatever a viewer will listen out there who follows us, I think would like you to be most honest is what they feel in reality. When you ask me what you think has gone wrong, it's self-explanatory. Is a parliament running at the cost of public administration today is 7.4 trillion shillings in the 2024-2025 budget paper. As we were stated here on this show, the Honorable Musasizi has presented to Parliament to acquire a loan of 110 billion shillings through Standard Chartered Bank. When a full country begins borrowing in a domestic bank, you know the implications, right? You know where Ministry of Finance he has now lost the economic planning and development. I'm interested in discussing this in a technical perspective because where I work, I am a project planner. So the key issues of, there are things that have also disturbed the NRM that you feel pity for it. Issues of the Auditor General saying it is losing over 20 trillion to corruption. Iron sheet scandals have been there. Ministers were arrested. Kampala Road pothole exhibition has been there. Doctor strikes have been there. Right? Issues of policemen lacking houses, but projects are coming under the...
You see, Masawi, one of the signals of a progressive society is the fact that those citizens are, one, aware of what they should get and what they should not get, and therefore have the ability to protest whenever they get what they should not get.
I'm not a student of economics, given I'm an engineer. But still, we went to the economics. They had a growth indicator of where they expected the economy to grow at 6%, with a target of middle income status, which the World Bank has refuted up to date, right? Because the local indicators that have awarded themselves, IMF, which needs to put your name on the list, has refused. It means, I think the NRM is a patient who is very disturbing. He's in a ward, you take to ICU, life is as if coming back. By the time you return to the ward, you need to take back to the ICU. You're never certain when he will die or whether a patient is recovering. Because the key vices that led to the arrest of Gilbert Bukenya as a vice president today led to the arrest of junior ministers. It means they are coming down. Yet some of these things, if they have ever punished a full vice president, they should go on reducing. We have seen the recent debate here. Ministers have come out and issued a statement that Parliament is useless because it feels MPs were bribed to refuse the merging of what? Because ministers were the beneficiary of merging of some of these MDAs back to ministries. They will have a bigger budget to spend. But if you saw a speaker statement today, yesterday, Tuesday, as you read, trying to show that defending the independence of parliament. As I've told you that when we look at the public administration vis-a-vis the indicators of consumption as local citizens, you know, when you go to school, you really forget your friend you live in the village because you have a small opportunity around Kampala. You are disconnected from reality. Is why I never borrow this identity crisis of maybe when we come to such discussions, we even lead by party. Maybe I'm unfortunate. My colleagues phoned me on a day I had a meeting at FDC. I had what they shot. I think they would have been more comfortable finding me when I was not from a meeting and I was in a t-shirt. And I think that would give them a perspective that I'm also representing my perception as a Ugandan. You don't need to be NRM to talk what you feel, right? So they had, I've refused to go to this debate versus NRM versus reality. I'm going NRM versus its performance indicator. They had a manifesto. They had a 10-point program. They had targets. They have an assessment. They have a manifesto committee which has professors and a lot of technical people. Some have been appointed to ministries. Okay? The key issues is the people who make the manifesto. Just after the election, they all get politically excited and abandon their role of what? Of monitoring and evaluation. I think those are some of the challenges we have with the politicians of nowadays. People are in their energy orbitals are in states that are easy to excite and they leave their orbitals to higher energy levels.
Thank you.
But as I gave you an example, all parties have an equal role in developing a country.
Yes, sure.
I was in FDC when they had Tayebu and Anita. I don't know where NRM people best when they joined them to find them their best speakers, right? I was there with them in 2016. I voted. They were there in FDC. Anita Among was a deputy treasurer to Nandala Mafal. So if NRM people, you found them to be your wise speakers in parliament and you dropped Kadaga who has been NRM from formulation, I think there should never be a debate on competence and results based on party. Because I keep showing people why did the colleagues who are their enemies find them the best speakers when they joined them.
Thank you so much. I want to engage you, Twisere, Gloria. He raises things that have failed. He talks about the Auditor General's report, he talks about security and a couple of things. But in your view, I think even as an NRM, what are those things you can highlight and you say, yes, my party has failed on this one and this one in the last 2.5 years?
Yeah, thank you for this chance granted to me. Of course, life is never perfect the way you want it to be. You always face barriers. Even when you plan to be, like you plan to finish your work tomorrow, you meet some challenges to exempt you from going on right smoothly on the way you wanted them to move on. Of course, NRM as the party, just as the same way you also do your things today, tomorrow, it's the same way. We have to begin from our families. If your parent has promised you this and this and has not come in the time you expected it, at least you try to be a bit patient. He's slow but sure. He's taking his time.
In other words, you're telling Ugandans that please, the NRM is not doing good enough, but please be patient.
Yeah, of course it's promising. May I see it promising? Because till when? You never know how tomorrow will come. We have some good plans for you.
You see, you have a mandate that in the next 5 years, we want to make sure every Ugandan is able to get 2 meals a day. Every Ugandan is able to go to the hospital, to a school.
There is a national development plan, Phillip.
Life cannot wait.
There is a vision.
Of course, it all begins with you. I said it later. I said it in the beginning. It all begins with you. How are you involved? How are you active in it? Just as my brother said, we're not all living on white-collar jobs. Try to get something that makes you... You can't depend on someone. If you're to depend on someone, you may be blaming the president. He's also a human being to make errors. Sometimes he can forget. So keep reminding him through your leaders. He can be able to make for you something. You
Thank
appreciate
you.
us later.
The president is a human being.
He can also
and
make an error.
Sometimes he can forget. Or he
So
can
those
make
are the only
errors.
failures of
Therefore,
NRM, the president.
Keep
is a
reminding
human
us we
being.
are ready to help you.
There are also
What I
those
take
who,
from what you say is such that Ugandans are actually on their own. I want to get your perspective. In the last 2.5 years or even more, where has the NRM not performed?
Yeah, thank you so much for that question. I can tell you generally, for the last 2 years, the NRM has done the very best and are continuing to do the best to achieve the manifesto that has been established. The biggest problem the NRM have, it is with the people who still does not believe to work with them. That's the only challenges we are having. Because if the FDC could put the FDC mine out, the NUP could put the NUP mine out, and they accept to be led by the NRM.
See, Onenchan, when you say the very best, and the only challenge is people refusing to work with the NRM, do you then say that in this country, Uganda, the health system is perfect, the education is perfect?
Of course, life is
They are
not
not
perfect.
answering your question.
No.
I'm
Let me
answering the
support
question.
my
No,
brother.
first wait. You see, we are trying to do our very best. Are you aware that 109 health center 2 has been upgraded to 3
Is
in
not.
this country?
He's
For the
now
last 2
answering.
years?
He's now
Okay.
answering.
Are you aware that Uganda has launched the first satellite? First of its kind?
It is not functional now.
It is
as I
functional
speak.
now. Maybe you are not updated.
You still
give
have.
us, give
the,
us data we should.
the truth is, are you aware that the government has established and have opened 1026 secondary school in the last 2 years, and we have already 50 functioning laboratories in these health centers within this time that we have. And this, what I'm bringing, this success, it is incorporating everybody, irrespective in Loop, in FDC, people are benefiting from this. That's why I made mention that, look, even if I'm to bring it to the PDM, are you aware this PDM money has already transitioned into something like 1,052 circles within the country?
So thank you so much. The statistics you gave me are very interesting, but also much as I'm aware of those statistics, I'm also aware that the NRM planned to make sure that there is a secondary school per parish in this country. I don't think we have 100 parishes in this country. There was a plan such that in the first year of 2021-2022, the PDM money, 100 million shillings would have gone to every parish in this country. Until now, I'm still aware that much of the money has gone to ghost circles, but also there are many circles that are yet to be approved. Those are all realities in the NRM.
But I believe, I saw the other time the report for the Minister for Economic Monitoring. She's doing the very best, and she's even working within her office to see that this PDM money are actually implemented correctly. The parish that might have not got to get this money, the verification of these ghosts are actually even taking place. To tell you, are you aware that the government has already established 20 industrial hubs where the young people, in the last 2 years, they have already graduated something like 20,000 youth. In northern Uganda alone, where I come from, just last week we have graduated about 500 of young people who have gained skills in hairdressing, who have gained skill in tailoring, metro fabrication, bricklaying, and what, many of them. And these are young people who are the next phase the president has given, even is now making consultation with the Minister of Finance to support this youth with a startup capital. So I believe a youth will move away from the industrial hub with the skill, open a small the melting workshop where the person will start making this, getting money. In Bula alone, we are getting a testimony when when the state controller was there, Jane Bareki, about 15 ladies who have benefited from this. They have opened their salon, they have employed so far 20 of the ladies in that small shop of hairdressing they are having. So I am telling you,
Quite satisfactory from Bulu.
we are doing because we are embracing the government program. We are embracing the government. In fact, you see, for us, we have decided now to put party aside, even if we have not been supporting the government for long. We are accepted now. Please, I think here is the government program. The people need to benefit. That's why my debate is strictly on the point that if you don't support the government, but if the government has brought projects, programs, embraced for the interest of the community, because we believe you MP, your hand, you the MPs who are in opposition, your hand, and to be quite surprised that many of these MPs that tell people not to benefit this government program, the opposition MPs, their families are rarely actually even benefiting because they get their money in their own way and they're supporting. Their families are okay. The problem these opposition MPs they do is they don't want people in the community to be empowered, because if they are empowered, you cannot come and lie them with the 5,000 that they always do and the lies they always do, because they will not go to vote for them.
Thank you. Thank you, Richard, for that. And I want to come back to you, Masawi. One of the trending stories in this country has been the merger of government agencies, and to the end of it realized that only 4 of the intended agents were merged, and you had about more than 13, I think. The merger failed, and one of the highlights of the debate to merge these agencies was that, for example, at the Ministry of Works, the ministry employing about, if I pick the figure back really, I'm trying to recollect the figures, but also saying they spend, UNRWA spends 71 billion in wages alone, while the ministry that should be taking on the entire UNRWA body is spending about something like, is it 20 billion or thereabout on the same item. And it takes me to the question of sustainability of how we spend our monies. When you look at this government, you have a parliament of about 557 or thereabout. You have a cabinet of about 82. You have presidential advisors. Recently we have
deputy
RDs,
very bogus positions.
And what comes with this position is a salary, a vehicle, fuel, insurance, and so on from government. How sustainable is this to the government of Uganda and the people of Uganda?
I will start from where very many people come here to discuss NRM issues, but they struggle. I'll congratulate my brother. He has learned to speak to him what he feels is benefiting from the NRM. There is senior colleagues who are the secretariat, the Nimrods, the Yerus, come here and you keep giving you the white man collar statistics, yet they are in offices. But at least for him, he has given his perception and feel about that. When you move around to our neighboring countries, at least I've been to all, including Sudan and DRC. The last time we were in Arusha, I was a member of the National Youth Council. We benchmark how some of these countries have, ministries have been decentralized via provinces and regions. I think is where Uganda is having a problem. When I was on a similar debate on a radio station around Kampala, my biggest argument is you're creating a lot of unemployment by removing, right? And you're justifying that you're reducing on cost. The key issue is never cost. The key issue here is how best do you increase their production to sustain. By the way, some of these agencies have been performed, they have helped to accelerate growth. in some of these sectors, especially the ones linked to infrastructure. There are keys and parameters for doing some of this. I've done public infrastructure management as a course unit. To acquire land, if you're coming in a phase of UNRWA, is far more easy than when you come in a phase of a ministry. I think you get the concept, right? You as scholars of law will tell you how it is easy as an MD versus the government. It is far easier to go into contract with the Chinese. You have leverage when you go as UNRWA than when you go as a government fully. As a government, they will exploit you free land, time, money. Our youth, as the Ugandans, we lose every day due to wrong deals because of lack of technical expertise, which these MDAs were providing. When I come to cabinet's mindset of thought, as a young person, when I read Wealth of Nations, Uganda's economics sometimes is a little disturbing because really we have a very high appetite for doing things. We are too hungry, we eat a lot, but we work less. You don't see any parameters that are addressing the issues of maybe how do we build them, have these ministries even been prepared with capacity? Because I don't want your bills to merge by swallowing or eating up. Merging should not be by swallowing, even if it means coming back together as a force. But you even see that why some of these MPs are former workers. Majority of the MPs are workers of these UNRWA, National Drug Authority, because they are the highest employers. They give government some quality that there are a lot of people who find it hard working in government and would have run to Europe. But some of these places have been options because they provide professional capacity in terms of how they operate, given they operate within the private sector area. Where I feel Parliament won is that a hurry would be more costly even if someone decided to show. Right? It would be more costly, but even already in a budget, I don't know whose intention on Uganda's budget. I know one of the reasons is that donors have disappeared with money. For example, the budget of health, malaria, AIDS, AGOA has gone away from the trade side. We no longer have markets to sell and leverage. Issues of the Ukraine war led to some prices of things, and by the time the energy, Uganda's finance department used to create things into order, borrowing and incentives they used to facilitate economic restoration were so demanding. And the highest, sometimes when you listen, like when I listen to P.S. Ramavan Ngobi, you would see the financial distress to the extent that when the speaker called him, he decided to tell Parliament that it is the role of the president to do the budget. The roles and responsibilities of Parliament are very clear, right? And budget appropriation is. But why I have a very negative impact on merging, they are going to merge up. A country should grow, not again become smaller. I have moved to Germany. Germany, when you go to Munich, you think it is a country of its own. Just go even here in South Africa, go to South Africa. When you reach Johannesburg, you feel you're in a full Uganda of your own. The reason is that these agencies are not only, they show how much you're growing as a country. But if you're merging, it means the issue we are facing of a crisis in finance, we need to organize our habits, reduce corruption, increase production, push these young people that are having an education maybe that is not organizing them for the environment they live in, organize it. We've seen things like the loan schemes which were on for universities went off and see a better way to address issues from the roots than the stem or the branches, right? So, we expected much from the current permanent secretary, because he used to speak so intelligently when he was being asked some of these policies while he was still in academia.
Thank you. I want to engage the two colleagues again, still on the same aspect. Gloria, sustainability of the economics of this country. When you look at how we spend, can this country afford 557 members of parliament, 82 ministers, both state and cabinet, over 100 presidential advisors, RDCs, deputy RDCs, directors and commissioners, and those very big offices that come with a cost? We pay huge salaries, we buy for them vehicles, we fuel those vehicles, we find for them residence. Can we afford that as a country, as an NRM government?
Of course, it has managed to do that. Because if you see those ministers in the parliament, though the money they have paid is much, at least they have been able to do that.
In other words, it is something we should keep, it is something we need.
Yeah, the government is able to sustain them, but me, I also argue about it. I be like, because whoever is advised can also be on this line you want him or her to be on, regardless of what he or she is doing. Maybe if the presidential advisors get involved into that, they be like, this is much, at least to reduce to this for. Those people also are down to benefit a bit. It can move on, right?
Thank you so much. Richard, one of the things that rises every time you talk about manifesto and implementation is money. And where does government get money? Taxation, grants, and donations. But let's talk about taxation. In the previous budget, this financial year we are concluding very soon in a few months, the target of URA was about 29 trillion shillings. However, the budget was 52 trillion. In this budget being prepared, URA has a target of 31 trillion, and the budget is 58 trillion, meaning we have a deficit.
You have borrowing and debt financing.
What we can collect is far less than what we want to spend. Where do we get the extra? We borrow both internally and externally. We wait for the few donations that still exist and grants. When you see how we are spending, and of course we have debt financing, debt servicing, taking up a very, very huge part of our budget. How does the NRM harmonize the expenditure, the borrowing, and enough money to provide services to Ugandans?
Yeah, thank you so much for your question. I have no doubt that the NRM government are beginning to Ugandanize the economy.
That is a new term, vocabulary.
You will get to know.
Yeah.
I'll meet you afterward.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to mean, Uganda and the NRM government, if you look at the way we are embracing the agricultural economy, clearly tells you that, and with the mechanization of the agriculture that is coming in right now, the modernization that we are seeing right now, I believe if a household and the community and the electorates, people have to be supported to embrace the agriculture economy, to maximize it, it will clearly boost our economy. Not forgetting other sectors like tourism. I do believe that you know very well Uganda, in the aspect of tourism, we are not bad. And this clearly tells you that if we are to maximize our tourism sector, it will actually boost our economy and our income.
Maybe
as a state.
Trying to put context to tourism, for example, we are not bad how? When I look at the figures, for example, last year, yes, the country boasts of having generated about anything close to $900 million from tourism. which is a shortfall from 2019.
They use the
where
indicators of the COVID wave, then they use the indicators of the ADF insurgencies as failures to their target.
exactly, but also when you say we,
I think, you know, okay, let him submit. I wanted.
please allow me create this context. When you look in the region, for example, there was a comparison between how many tourists we get from the major
We are farthest.
sources of tourists, that is the America, Europe, and Asia. From that combined, the last half of the year, we were able to get 73,000 tourists. In comparison with Kenya, just Masai Mara National Park alone was able, from the same destinations, was able to get 400,000 tourists. So I don't know how we're doing good in tourism.
I was bringing my point, but thank you for coming here. You see, my point for tourism, I brought, you clearly told us how the tourism dropped for 2021, 2019. It clearly, he answered to you that COVID really worked on the country so much. Travels were limited, that was you are aware. The ADF insurgency came, and this also disorganized the state. And also, I cannot fail to talk about the kind of the democracy certain groups of people in this country portray Uganda at. I can tell you the behavior of certain political parties within Uganda, it also taint the picture of Uganda outside to other countries. Because look, if you have contested for a president, you have gone to a national or international conference where tourists are actually very many there and say, Uganda is a bad country because of the leadership. We are suffering with the dictator. You get? So the NUP has already contributed into painting the picture, and other political parties like the FDC have contributed into tarnishing Ugandan name to the extent even the tourists are now fearing to come and invest in our tourism sector.
You think we are hostile to a no?
Yeah, we are very hostile. There's dictatorship. There's whatsoever. You heard about it. These are national things that we see. I've ever seen Boy Wine sitting in a very big panel
Thank you.
and I'm talking ill about Uganda as if he's not from Uganda. So that alone contribute.
Once you don't appreciate where you're from,
Thank
others
you.
to want
And
to
that
appreciate.
is, yes.
Yeah, that is into the tourism sector. Now, look, Uganda as a country are actually coming out. Another sector I can bring to you is the mineral development sector. Uganda. I believe you know the contribution of mining to our country. What are they putting in place? Currently, Uganda has discovered the biggest graphite exploration in this. In I think followed to the one in China, around graphite in northern Uganda. The Glencore, who is a British mineral company, has already done all the survey. They've already tested that the graphite in Oram, it is pure. And they've injected a lot of money to start exploration in July. And according to the article written by Daily Monitor, I'm going to, according to Daily Monitor, it clearly tells us that the deposit of Oram graphite, if it's to be constructed, extracted well, it can also contribute in running Uganda budget for 1 full year for Oram graphite. But they've not just started. This is something my brother in FDC, they're not aware about.
How sure?
I'm very sure this man has read about Oram graphite. He has been on the news.
And you're saying I'm not sure. How sure are you?
I'm telling you this. It
It's
will
like
help
you
us
may.
in boosting our economy.
And you're young.
The second thing is, the second thing that I want to bring to you, Uganda as a country, we cannot fail to talk about the fishing sector. The lakes, what the lakes is really contributing to us. You know very well how Uganda is actually
You know, Onen, I like that you bring out very interesting parts of bits of Uganda. You talk about the tourism, you talk now the lakes, the minerals, but even without the tainting of the country, like you say, by some opposition figures, let's talk. How much is government investing in building and developing this? Look at a wonder like Lake Victoria. When you look in the papers, or even if you go to your phone today, they will tell you water hyacinth is a challenge. Pollution industries are releasing their waste into the water. And how much is government to make sure, one, these are protected, but two, the country is able to earn from these futures, from these wonders that we have as a country?
But I can assure you that the government is doing its very best as I talk right now. There's continued water hyacinth removal in our lake. There's also good patrolling of the lake to avoid this indiscriminate fishing. The other time the president was in Dokolo, the people of Lake Chiwagita in Dokolo brought that thing, how people are not embracing. He even gave directives. Currently, you go to Dokolo district, people are doing fishing there. They are very okay. There's the hyacinths have been removed. These water weeds are actually weeds has been preventing the effective and a good fish catch actually being worked upon. What I need to tell you is that,
so briefly,
yeah. What I want to tell you briefly is that Uganda is capable of getting and actually making its income from what we have as a state. That's why I talked about Ugandanization. And maybe the best thing we can do is that Uganda as a country, we need to embrace and support what we have. And we appreciate what we have. And we worked on what we have to raise our economy.
Thank you so much. Gloria, I want to take you down to the region you come from. And I want us to speak education. Earlier you did mention how, for example, you're able to travel from Ciasor and come to Kampala, get education, get to the highest level, work at parliament, work at OPM. Yes, very interesting, very nice, very attractive. But how many people from Ciasor are able to get what you actually have? And what am I saying? The quality of education in Ciasor. When you look at the UPE schools in that area, when you look at the health facilities in that area, many of them are not the best. I think we can agree. Why and how is the NRM going to make sure this process, this way of doing things, this condition in Ciasor and by extension southwestern Uganda is improved?
Of course. Thank you for this chance granted to me. First of all, if parents do their parts, children will be able to go to school. If government has constructed those UPE schools, you as a parent, which role have you prayed in far as your students or your child's education is concerned? If your child sleeps, you can't wake him or her, like, wake up, go to school. The president or the MP, it's not his responsibility. They have put schools in place for the parents to do their laws. Some children are just illiterate because parents don't pay their laws. They just wait for the government to born up as If they are put there, then send your children. Some people lack chances because they have no interest.
Do we have enough UPE schools in Ciasor?
Definitely they are.
Or
apart from the secondary ones. But UPE primaries, they are there in excess.
Quality?
Yeah. If I give an example of Mutare Primary School, it even performs better than some of the private schools.
Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately our time is very, very much fast spent. We need to get to the end of this conversation, which has been very interesting. I want to come back to you, Masawi, in these final minutes, and I want us to look at many things are working out, but very many are also not working out. How best can the NRM reclaim the things that are not working out, briefly, to see that this country progresses to where we want it to be today, tomorrow, and in the future?
I'm learning a lot of things on your show, including Ugandanization. I had never heard of it in my life. Rose Namayanja, I have to question her. She's teaching a lot of literacy in NRM that is political, that we no longer understand.
I've heard about Africanization.
You see, I've learned another word.
What I mean did. was Ugandanization, when you expelled the Asian and wanted the economy to be in the hand of Uganda.
That is it. You see, when you come here, you learn you know the difference between a FDC youth and the NRM youth in terms of quality, but in terms of understanding of the questions you ask. When you ask me the last bit of your question, you know, whatever we come here, we don't come to act drama to the viewers, to confuse them, to show them. They are in reality, they are feeling whatever we talk. We don't come here. I go to very many stations for the last 5 years I've been in politics. Even at times when you get a girlfriend who says, me, I want to have you in my time, stay in your engineering line. You don't go there because of fashion or because you think you know how to speak or because you go what. But you go there maybe to represent a certain part of community you come from to reach their voice. I think to activate certain radicalism in terms of activism on how we should do things. The topic of today, none of us came here to say whether the failure of the achievements of the manifesto, we may not have any influence in terms of impact because we are not the ones who do the checks and balances, right? We only get that chance in terms of voting, and on the voting day, whether someone stole, the politics of Uganda was reduced to influence and advantage. Even if you be so bright and so good a leader when you have no money, given the political environment created, the people who have polished my political career, the likes of General Mugisha Muntu, never gave us money. They taught us just simple politics, but I think we always want to go deep into topics. Yeah, what I want my young people, fellow young people to take is to take key conscious interest in reading deeper into the performances of their parties, right? We don't need to come here to see as if we are doing drama to viewers. We need to be honest, right? I don't subscribe to NRM. We sit here with Chidega is at the National Youth Council, is here with the chairman, National Youth Council, not to Nimrod Kakai was at the secretary. Whenever we want to discuss issues of the country, when we are still discussing them at levels of defense and attack, I don't see where the country is growing. And we are growing, we are going to have children. At least me, I have one. We shall see the nature of investment you put in terms of the country's growth.
Thank you so much, Masawi, and really a call out to our friends. He did talk about the girlfriends and the boyfriends out there. Please allow these very
our viewers have been with us for some
intelligent
time.
Ugandans to go and offer that service to the country. We need them. We need them. They might reduce their time on you, but it will pay back in the near future. Yes, Gloria, the NRM, what is working out, tick, but what is failing? How do we correct it? How do we get better as a country and as the NRM?
Thank you. Provided the readers are the people to preach. If people have chosen the readers from their areas, they have to tell their leaders what they are facing. They are the mediators. They'll take their problems to the people concerned. Let them be sensitized about on what to do. If sometimes we even blame the government for not doing something that could be even easily, that we could even do it ourselves.
Thank you. And maybe I wanted to ask maybe one last one, just a direct. In your view, 2026 is around the corner. The NRM has very many people that have interested themselves in the leadership. President Museveni,
the president should be an MP in the future.
There are conversations about
Guild president in 10 years.
There have been conversations about the Honorable Mama Mbabazi and very many other people. Who do you think is the right candidate for the NRM in 2026?
I can't admit that Kale Kaihura is capable. He's from my press, yes. It all begins at home.
Please, who is the best candidate for the NRM?
She dodges the question.
No, it's not like I'm dodging the question. I haven't made up the mind.
Do you think President Museveni is still the best candidate for the NRM?
Let me cheat for you. The answer is yes.
No, you shouldn't cheat for me. You can't think for me. Let me
Thank
think
you
on
so
my
much.
own.
Thank you so much, Twisere, Gloria, for your submissions. I want to come back
How
to
do you
you,
deny himself?
Onenchan, finally.
Thank you so much.
In building the
Yeah,
NRM,
in
because we
building
want
the
to see an
in
NRM
building
that
the
grows
NRM,
and creates a better Uganda.
I support NRM. Of course, in all parties, we have internal challenges here and there. The best thing, me as a young rising NRM cadre, I think the people that have been given mandate in the NRM, we are not going to keep quiet about the government coming out with programs to build the capacities of the leadership in the NRM. So I think the leadership of the NRM, the capacities will be built.
Yes.
If you're ministers, you're being given a mandate, your capacities will be built so that you do the right thing. Secondly, I also encourage the opposition that in this country, if we want to develop a country, we need to collaborate. Time for criticizing can be during political campaigns time. But if the election is done, I
Let's
believe
work together.
the FDC could sit with even the NRM and strategize how to put Uganda in front and to develop the country. Maybe we shall disagree during time.
One day you'll be in opposition and you'll be called to do the same.
Looking for position. But after the election, I encourage all the opposition, whether FDC.
But you just said
No.
they turn yellow at night.
No.
And
Yes, and I also
Let's be
encourage them,
real.
if you are accepted to be blue, don't
Be
enter
blue.
in NRM in the night. and
They
come and
eat
put-
some
Be
of
real.
your resources. Eh?
Be
They
real.
take some.
No, they don't take resources.
They
Because
just come
what they
and
do, they
defame
pick
the government,
resources
they just
that are
come
meant
and
for
tarnish
the
For
it.
NRM.
electorate. They pick the resources that are meant for the electorate
And
they
take
keep
them.
quiet on.
Because
And
they
then
know
go
won't
that
accept
the NRM
them.
have done nothing.
Okay.
Don't enter in NRM in the night time or put on yellow, but don't put on yellow inside.
Let
but
them
you
not
put on
serve
red
two
on
masters
daytime.
at once.
And you incite people, making people in the community to suffer when you are
You're
when you're okay.
succeeding.
who
Yeah.
is your candidate for 2026 president?
I still, to me, you know,
Please, just the
Yeah,
No
yeah.
banners are honest.
No,
Don't ashame us.
I'm very honest.
Hey.
I cannot tell.
Auntie,
anyone.
you're saying to me.
You
Yes,
to
to me as
him,
a
not
leader,
to
Start.
because the
you.
question was directed.
It is directed to you.
This country, where is at rich, need people who are experienced and they senior.
Good.
And I still recommend President Museveni.
I
who
thought
leads
you
me.
had the mouth.
Thank you so much.
I
Thank
thought
so
you were going to
much.
say Mao.
It's his
Mao is
feeling and
leading
his
the
thought.
transition.
We can't credit what we have not seen. We've seen 7 working,
The
so we
transition
still
for me,
credit
for
him.
Mao is not for everyone. It's
Yeah.
for Mao and the president.
Definitely.
Twisere, Gloria, thank you so much for those amazing views and for joining us on the Youth Roundtable today. Onenchan Richard, Mr. President, congratulations. Thank you so much for sparing time to be with us and giving us those amazing views. Masawi Ivan, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for the amazing views. Always we have you on the show. And to you, our amazing viewers, thank you so much for keeping it the Youth Roundtable on Civic Space TV. Remember, this is powered by the Center for Constitutional Governance, and we continue to say thank you so much for what you do out there. We also say thank you to the people that keep pushing content from Civic Space TV. We appreciate you so much. In a special way, as Civic Space TV community, we continue asking for peace in all the regions of the world that are in turmoil. The DRC, Sudan, Niger, Chad, Mali, Burkina Faso, Guinea, Ukraine, Gaza, West Bank, Iran, all the regions of the world that are not in peace. We continue to advocate for peace, and we say whoever can do a thing to make sure there is peace in those particular places, please play your part, because only peace guarantees sustainable human development. Thank you so much. We say good evening, and may you have freedom always.